Welcome to River City Plus, that show after the show, the Monday after party happening today. Kicking us all off for the week.
I mean, I know a lot of people are feeling some type of way after that crestfalling moment yesterday, but you know what? We're bouncing back. The days can go on. We're 10 toes down, smiling at the sun. So, but today we were thinking, let's get our minds right. So we're going with a little mental wellness Monday. We talked about it on the show, but we thought we'd do a little bit of a deeper dive right here.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times we have these things that are encouraging you to be mentally well and things like that. It's easy to say, but I've found just in the past year, I actually started to go see a therapist just to kind of understand how I could be better professionally, personally. Frankly, it was now included in our insurance. So I was like, cool, let me see what all the fuss is about now that I can afford it. But I kind of always thought before that therapy was something that you only did when you had a problem or, you know, it didn't apply to me because, you know, like, oh, I'm not that person. Like, I think there was still a stigma, even though that, even though it's a lot more widely used now. And it wasn't until I started talking to a ton of my friends who I very much admire, look up to, would want to model myself after professionally. And they were like, oh, yeah, well, my therapist. And I was like, wait, you go to therapy? Well, there's nothing wrong with you. And they were like, you know, and I was like, oh, wait, I'm the problem. Like, my bad perception is the problem.
Well, it's interesting because, like you said, there was that stigma, but I've been in with therapists multiple times over the years, and it's just my take on it. It's like you've got your friends, you've got your tribe, your sounding board, but sometimes it's nice to have somebody that's clearly has no vested interest. I mean, they do want what's best for you, but they're not like your friend that's like, oh, I remember this in your history or whatever. They can be truly objective, and they can call you out on some stuff that, you know, your friends might have called you out on, but we ain't listening to them. You don't know nothing, but you're a professional. All right, I guess I'll listen.
Yeah.
So having said all of that, the big thing is boundaries, and we're having these discussions these days about setting boundaries for our own mental health and mental wellness, and that's really a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys at home, but for me, saying no is actually very challenging. And I think I'm one way in the workplace. I feel like I'm able to, control things here professionally, and I'm able to articulate my boundaries because I know I don't want to take on more work than I know I can execute because, hey, then we just won't be on the air the next day and there'll be no show for you. So it's like I have limits as to what I can do here and what I can take on. But I feel like personally, I'm really bad about if there's a hole in my calendar, I'm like backfilling and there's no need for that. But then at the end of the week, I'm like, I have no laundry, like none of my dishes are done. Like, you know, the dogs think I'm a crazy person. Like it just piles up on you because I'm saying yes to everything. So when we were talking today, a lot of times you feel like you just have to say yes, or you have to give somebody information, or you have to do something. The reality is that you don't. Tina Fey one time said, no is a complete sentence. Now I'm like a little Southern Belle, and sometimes I can't just say no. I can't do that. You're closer. You can be like, nah.
I mean, I say that, you know, I talk a lot of that, but I admit I am one of the consummate people pleasers. I'll figure out a way, and even sometimes to my own detriment, it's like, this doesn't do well for me, but it'll take care of them, and that makes me feel better, but doesn't always do well for my mentality. So Janet came up with these, found these flashcards online. Where'd you find them?
Yeah, my own therapist gave them to me. I was like, she was very nice. Now she got them from Creative Claire and Co. So they're boundary flashcards. They have a bunch of different resources. My therapist, Brita White, gave them to me. And there's a ton of them. So these were just a couple that we talked about on the show. But what we didn't get to, and it's one that I think is a really easy one to incorporate because we've all found ourselves in this situation, is how to avoid like getting put on the spot for booking plans.
It
happened to us this morning.
I am the worst.
It's fine. No one's as bad as Katie Garner. I know you're out there. Katie will say yes to 54 different things, and I'm sitting there with her, and I'm like, you're already booked 32 times that night. Quit telling everybody that you see yes. Like, I love you, but you've booked us till next February. Okay.
So give what you can say, and then we'll tell our stories.
Okay. So a way to respond to the scenario of being put on the spot for booking plans is I need to process that invite or thought. Let me get back to you. Super simple. but I always panic and I'm like, oh, sure. You know what? I'm supposed to be doing 47 other things right then, but I'm sure I can squeeze you in between 7:15. Does that work for you? Oh, it's a 40-minute commute both ways. Yeah, that's fine. It's, you know what? I'll helicopter in. Like, and we do that to ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. My answer was like, we'll see, And then, but now it's funny, and I say this. My daughter says it to me now, and I used to say it to my parents. I'd ask for something, and my folks would be like, "We'll see." Oh, that's a no. My daughter,
Right.
she'll ask me for something. We'll see. That's a no. Not always, but back to your point about overscheduling, whatever. Back in high school, and it's happened here and there, but in high school and college and early 20s, I would have my Friday, Saturday, I'd have 3 events.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I'll be here. And everybody, I told them I'm coming. And I'd go the first one. And my plan was like, I'll go here, I'll go here, I'll go here, and then I'll circle back. Inevitably, I'd get to one, maybe the second. I'm like, I'm good here, and then don't make the other
Right.
one. So the last one's mad. The first one's mad.
Right.
You left and never came back. You never showed up. And so I've definitely gotten a lot better about that.
You're like Goldilocks and the 3 parties.
But I've got but this weekend I didn't really have a plan of something to do, and then I got an invite to go see a band. I'm like, all right, so I did that. I mean, these are situations where I'm cool with it. And then while I was out, I got a text from our producer Vaughn, like, hey, I'm hanging out over here. You want to meet? So I'm good with free flow. But like you say, if there's something where they need a hard, definite answer for something that's like really important to them, sometimes it's just like, can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah. Those I've started to say, like, listen, I can't commit at this point. Or, I appreciate when people want to book really far out, but sometimes we'll have people asking us for, hey, this summer, hey, in 6 months. And, with work and stuff, we can't always commit that far out. Usually like 2 months out. I love advance notice. It's one of those things. It's like 2 months, great. 2 weeks, not great. We're already booked, But 2 years, yeah, it's a little far. So I might not be able to commit to you.
But see, now you're talking show side. I'm talking what's your personal side.
I mean, personal side
word,
too. I mean,
same.
you know our schedules. We book up
Facts.
because I think for us the show and our local personal lives are very much intertwined. It's even this morning we're getting a text, hey, can you come, can you come host a chili cook-off? And we're looking at our calendars and I'm like, hey, it was empty 24 hours ago. And now it's like, we already got something booked Friday, Saturday, we already got something booked. Sunday, we're booked now. So it's also just blocking out time. Laura Davies, who comes in from Time Management Academy, she always talks about blocking your calendar for whatever you do have to do, whether it's laundry, whether it's, whatever you got to do at home, blocking that out so you already have that time in the bank.
Yeah.
And do that for your personal time too is another thing she suggested. Just block it out so in your head you're like, I am booked, even if I'm booked with myself, but I'm booked.
Yeah. So do you guys at home have this same scenario? I mean, I know when it comes to the kids, we got to do team kids, but with your friends and stuff, you overbook, you need to set some boundaries. All right. So here's another one. This has come up a lot here lately, but we get questioned about a personal situation, and you have your tribe that you talk to, and sometimes people outside that tribe try to kind of force their way in. But even people in your tribe, they're like, well, what about this and that? And you're just like, in your mind, you kind of want to share, but you're not really sure. So what you can say to someone, friend, and you can make it a little more intense if it's somebody that you're not super cool with. That's a very personal question to ask someone. I will not be answering that question for you. And so in that vein, I think that's more of like somebody that isn't really part of your circle and they're diving in, and it's like, yeah, you don't need to be privy to that information.
Yeah, to me, that sounds like if somebody's coming at you with like a very poking question. Now, if I want to kind of like soften that blow for just things I don't want to share, I think this happens a lot with like medical challenges or breakups. We were like, oh yeah, this happened. Well, what happened? It's like, it just didn't work out. Well, why? Well, what? Just like, I kind of want to leave it at that. And that just is a signal to, hey, I'm just going to leave it here and you're not getting any more out of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gone that route, and then when they don't give me my space, it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty.
Now, this one I wanted us to talk about more on the show, and we just ran out of time. But when you're being forced into a decision, now the first quarter of the year, January, a lot of people have contract renewals. People are signing leases. I was going through one with my friend this weekend, and there were things in there that she had not agreed to verbally, and so I'm going through, with a pen, and I'm like, no, your realtor said this. No, they said this. This is in this lease. Don't agree to this. And you have to be comfortable saying like, hey, you're trying to force me into a certain option. So the scenario was, being forced into a decision or a singular option scenario. And you just say, that's not going to work for me. What other options can we consider? Like if somebody wants you to participate, they want you there, they want your input, they need to give you more than one option.
And that response gives you the opportunity to like, it's not shutting it down.
Right.
Because more often than not, because there are aspects of our day to day where we need to be more yes and open to a situation and active listening. But that opportunity gives you like, that's not going to work, but let's work some stuff out. And if they don't want to work it out, they didn't really want you involved anyway. So that's always the tough one. But yeah, I can get a little crusty on that one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought you brought up a good point when you say, give me a scenario to use like yes and. I've heard people refer to that before, but like how do you put that into practice?
So let's say so we're making a decision. Is it making a decision?
Make a decision.
Okay, let's see, now you put me on the spot. I wasn't prepared.
It was River City plus spotlight. But so from my understanding, that's when you kind of like tell someone yes, like you're amenable to what they're offering you, but it's like, and we need to just discuss one more thing. But it's like you're also leading them to what you need from the conversation, because if you just say no, sometimes that can cause tension, whatever. Like Tina Fey said, no is a complete sentence, but it's not always the right sentence in every scenario, especially when I think you're looking at negotiations, right? And yes and is kind of that negotiating thing. It's like, yes, I can do this, and we're going to need to talk about this. So it's like, sure, we can talk about this contract, and let's also discuss some of the specifics because this is vague for me.
Actually, I do have one for you. Let's talk about, you have people in your house and you're fighting over the thermostat. We'll just go simple, right? It's something simple, and it's like, and they're like, whoever it may be, maybe I'm coming in and I'm like, I have to use my mom as an example. Sorry, Ma. So it's like she comes in and I'm like, she's like, it's too hot. Okay, and it's automatically, she wants to go change the thermostat. I'm like, whoa. Let's talk about that. She's forcing my hand, and it's my mom. I love her. I give her a lot of leeway, but man, people like some heat when they get to a certain age. So, you have to have those conversations like, hey, what can we work out? Can I get you a space heater or something? Or, I've got extra sweatshirts because...
So she says it's cold, and you say, yes, and it's going to stay like that. Put on some more clothes. That's what my dad used to say. Put on a sweater.
But I'm just using, that's just one that pops into mind. And it's probably not even a really good one, but it gives you an idea of like,
right.
You have to work, and we're just trying to be more considerate these days because people are really in an aggravated state of mind, and everybody is just super, or I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people just seem super agitated and angry. So
and like entitled.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something too at the end of the day is like no one's truly entitled to your time but you. And, with the demands, like life is tough. It just is. It's hard. So why continue to occupy space in your life for people who don't have your best interest? Now that street goes both ways. You want to make sure that you have their best interest. But if somebody's giving you anxiety, if it feels tough, if you're not excited, like I didn't really know that, oh, hey, maybe not hanging out with that person is an option.
Yeah, that's the other one. We'll have to do that. I have another conversation.
I know.
Sometimes you just have to cut the cord.
Drift away.
Yeah, so, well, that was just a little bit on boundaries, and so if you want to know more, or if you've got some insight, we'd love to hear your feedback. Just go to River City Live, our Facebook page, post up your comments, and we will go through those. Maybe we'll bring them back here and revisit some of those conversations.
Yeah, if you've got a good one, let us know because we're always looking to get better, and if you have another topic for another Mental Wellness Monday, just drop us a line.
So we'll see you tomorrow for River City Plus, and at 9:30 for River City Live.